Hello, all. So, reports is something that all of us are very interested in, and there are some new enhancement in Business Central specific to the problems that we all see on reporting in Business Central. Let's talk from the beginning why we use reports. You can use a report either to print the info, like your orders, your invoices, your shipment documents, or you would like to display some information from database, which gives you some meaningful information based on the data that's available in the system. Reports are used to structure data, summarize that info, and the other common use case is to print documents such as invoices and others. So from the reports which you need to be printing, there's no change on that. That'll remain as it is. But report that help you to analyze the data that's available in Business Central to make decision quicker in the right direction by analyzing the data. There's a huge improvement done. The new feature called data analysis in Business Central 2023 release wave 1. As of today, it's in public preview. There's no reason of it to be being on public preview as per Microsoft. It has been tested with all the capabilities and it brings the power of Microsoft Excel, which all our users, all our business people who know how to use the power of Microsoft Excel, all that power, or some of that useful power, comes in Business Central, and you can do very common data analysis things within Business Central without leaving your environment. So during my research, while I was playing it, while I was talking to different people, when I watched some videos from Microsoft, I think it adds a great value into the product. I would highly encourage you to stay in and understand what are the capabilities and how it can be a replacement for some of your reports where it's time consuming to explain to a developer what you want, what kind of data you want. It's expensive and it takes a cost when you get into a physical report building approach and how data analysis replace that. Okay, so what it is in 2023 release wave 1 of Business Central, Microsoft is introduced a new powerful feature that allows you to analyze the data directly on every list page in Business Central. So irrespective of where you are in the system, if you are on a list page, as per Microsoft, most of the list page, but I'm still trying to figure out where it is not available. You can utilize this feature in Business Central to analyze the data. Data analysis is meant for quick fact checking analysis when you don't want to run a report or which, if a report for your specific need does exist, you might want to check before you actually go into a report. There are some scenarios that Microsoft have put in for people to use case where a traditional report can be replaced with the data analysis feature. And we'll come to that. In this video, we'll talk about some of the scenarios which was not covered in the list. And Kenny challenged it on the video that, or not challenged it, but suggested to find out if you find out other replay reports that can be replaced using this data analysis, let me know. So I'll give it a try on two of the reports that I have learned about it. But before we get into it, let me open my Business Central and let's see how you can start utilizing that feature. So here I'm on Business Central 2023 release wave one of my sandboxes. When you go to a list page, you might not see it anywhere an option to analyze the data or enable the data analysis because as I said, as of today, it's tagged into a feature which is in the preview mode. So what administrators will have to do if you're not the administrator is go into this page called feature management, and from the feature management, enable the feature called feature preview analysis mode, quickly analyze data in Business Central. As of today, on my system, it seems to be the second option, but you should read it like this. Our administrator should be informed to enable this feature for all the users. Once administrator is here, they can start enabling it for all user. It'll suggest you to log in and log out, but I think it'll work. But let's give it a try. Let me come down and come back to my list. And I think I'll have to log in, log out. It seems so. So let me refresh my window. Hopefully that works. Or maybe I'll have to log in, log out. But let's see. So when you're on a list page, you'll be able to see a button where you can, it's a on off or flip button like this called analyze, which you can click and switch to the analyze mode or come back to the list view by just clicking that button on your list page. So when you click on this, it automatically kind of translates itself to an Excel worksheet, more or less. If you look at it, where whatever the info that you had on the list page, whatever the columns that you had here, all will be available here as it is. Now, there are certain areas that Microsoft defines it that you should understand it. The first is called the tab area, where you can have multiple tabs. Each tab represent is unique view of the data that you're looking at. You can add them, you can delete them, you can rearrange them, move it to right or move it to left. If you have built something, you can duplicate it or rename it and all. So that's called the tab area. Then the major area is where the data is. So all your data lies in this area. It's called the data area in your analyze mode. And then the very important area is the field modifier area, which is this area, which is collapsed by default. It shows you columns, which shows you analysis filters, where you can apply certain filters specific to this analysis one view. The column area gives you the columns, the row groupings, the values, and also an option to enable the pivot mode. So if you enable the pivot mode, you'll see you also get a column area here. So there's a row group, there's a value section, which is a summarized value. And as Excel will do or a pivot will do, it is automatically summing up all numerical values. And then the column levels, where you can put drag and drop columns into it, if I'm not wrong. And then in this list or in this view, if you have to apply some filters, you can apply those filters here. All common Excel filters are available here on each and every field that's available in this page. So far, so good. So let's see what we'll do and what we can do this. This is just an example of that. But let me go back here on and just walk you through around some other features that this page have. Here on the bottom ribbon, it tells you how many rows are there in this data set. If there are selected rows, so if I do a selection of rows, it gives me, if it's a numerical value, the average of those two rows. Let me pick a numerical value to be very precise. Okay, the average of those, the count of those, the minimum value out of those, the maximum, and the sum of those two values, just like any Microsoft Excel will do. Okay, you can uh, select certain data that you would like. And the beauty is that if you still are missing Excel, you can directly copy this with headers and paste it into Excel. Or just the selected data, you can export it on a CSV or on an Excel. So you can, you know, model the data or organize the data as you want. And then if you would like, you can either export it to a CSV or on a Microsoft Excel. You can do it directly by copy with header, with group headers, or just export it directly. And we'll see it in our examples. So hopefully this kind of clears what this is about. Now let's get into actual testing of this with two reports. As I said, I'm just following what I've heard on the videos, and I'm just trying my best luck with two reports that I've looked at. The one is item sales by customer, and I'm using North American localization, but you can find a report. Now, what this report tells you, this report gives you the sale of item per customer wise. So I have not applied any filter, and I've just ran it directly, and it'll show me something which is which customer, oh, sorry, which item is purchased by which customer, and some detail of invoice quantity, the amounts, the profit percentage, and all. Now, I can be completely wrong, and you can correct me here. The important figures to look from here, from a data perspective, is the invoice quantity and the amount. And let's try to mimic this on a data analysis view that we have. So let me copy this and let me open a separate tab so that we can have both running on a separate environment. So I'll use the Microsoft Switch icon. While I'm doing this, or while this is happening, let's do this. Let me open the report for everyone because you need to know from where the data is coming because all your data is stored somewhere in the system, and the report that we are seeing is bringing that data from somewhere. You know, it's either bringing it from one ledger or for some field, might be bringing it from multiple ledgers. Now, if the data is coming from multiple ledgers, that's something that you cannot do in the analyze mode, that's for sure. But if the data is coming from one ledger, then you can always use the analysis mode. Now, in this case, when item sale by a customer, I'm pretty sure it's coming from majority of the data is coming from one ledger. So let me open the source code of the report and we'll see that. So here's the source code of the report, and let me zoom this in for you. So it says that some data is coming from the item table, and then the data, actual data for the values and all, it's coming from item ledger entry table. And I hope there is no other data item available after this. I'm hoping. Let me give it a try. Yes, there's no other data. So all my consolidated data or those numbers are coming from item ledger entry. So which means that I need to analyze my item ledger entries page. So let's get in there and search for item ledger entries. Once you get into your ledger, before we start doing anything else, and this is for developers, if you have a developer who can read the report, you can see that when this report is being built, it's trying to get the data where the entry type is sales and the source type is fixed to customer. Only this data is catered in this report. So let's apply those filter in our list. Now, remember, I'm applying these filter on my list page, not on my analyze view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say entry type is equal to sale, and my source type is equals to customer. Once I have this, and I know that I would like to view this data again and again, so I don't want to set it again and again. What I can do is I can utilize the save view and save this as my item sales by customer view. This is my data source of it. So when my data is filtered with these two, which I'll need for this report, what I can do is now I can get into my analyze mode. So my data is already filtered, which is only bringing data with entry type sales and source type customer. So half of my things are done, which is based on this report properties that I've seen, which is that I would like to see my data, which is coming from entry type constant sale and source type customer. Now, what about the design of this report? Let's open the design of it and see what values are coming from which field so that we can mimic that. Okay. So when I increase, sorry, no, I I don't know why, but it doesn't work sometime on my machine. Let me zoom this in. Now, if I look at it, my data for the first field for item number is not customer number, is coming from item ledger entry source number. So let's do that. And then if you look at the report, it's first grouping it from item number. So somewhere I need to group it based on my item number, which is coming from here, which is a field called item number directly. So let's go to the columns. The first thing which I have learned from Microsoft is you should clear everything. You don't want anything here. And then you'll be good to kind of choose your fields. So the first thing that I need is my item number. So let's drag this in into row group, and my data is already grouped by items. And then all the details are within that if there are any. The second thing that I need is coming from my source number. So let's put that also into the group called source number. And I don't have that field, it seems, on the page. So I can actually go back to my normal mode because I don't have that. And I'll go back into my personalize and I'll add a field because that doesn't exist right now. Okay, I cannot do that. Let me try that. Okay. Okay. I don't need to be on the field view, it seems. Okay. And then I'll drag the source number here into my page. Once the field is available in the page, I'll do my done. That's done. Come back to my view, go to my analyze mode, and voila, it should remember whatever I have done till now. So now I can come back here and say, okay, I just have added source number. Do you see that? And it tells me it does. So I can just drag that here. Now my data is already grouped by item number and the source number, which is my customer number in this case. Let's try to short this and let's see what's coming in. So the first thing is 1896S30. Let me split this window into two parts so that we can see all that. So here I bring this and here I bring my, where is that thing? Okay, this is my item ledger entry and this is my report. Okay, here I am. So I can see 1896S and then I can see 10,000 and 30,000. Okay, nice. Then there's the subtotal, which is here. The 1900S, what I see inside this is 20,000, only 20,000. Okay, and so on and so forth. And you can just tally it as we go forward. But let's come back to the full view. Now, what we need is some calculation numbers against it. So let's go back to the layout and figure out from where this is coming. The first summation. It's coming from item ledger entry invoice quantity. It's a sum of it of invoice quantity. So let's look for invoice quantity and let's drag that in into the summation values. And then once it is on invoice quantity, let's add that. Or you can directly add it. It'll automatically come as sum. Okay. So once I have the invoice quantity, let's look at the next column, which is this. This is coming from value entry sales amount actual. Now, remember, this is not a field in the table item ledger entry. So I'll not be able to bring this field directly into it, which is the amount column. Oh, it should not be right. Let me look at it. 180 is this. And I can bring amount. I should be able to bring amount. Let me see. Okay. Okay. This is my item ledger entry invoice quantity. Okay. This is my value entry actual amount. And this is my discount amount. And this is my profit. Okay. Okay. So here I got stuck because I wanted to bring this field, which is the value entry sales amount actual, which I cannot bring because it's coming from a calculation. sales amount actual. But I also have a sales amount actual here, and I don't know how much that matches that. So that should come from value entry. But if I just want that field, I can just add that. And I also need to add it on the summation values. I hope that matches. Let me see. Okay. It may not match because the values are coming from different sources. But if the values are coming from the same source, I hope you get the idea that you can just bring that value in. But if you, oh no, they seems to be matching. Okay, let's see. 99,081, that sums up to 180,144. And this, the profit, the calculation number, which I cannot bring directly. You can surely do profit calculation as it is done in the Business Central report in your Microsoft Excel if needed. But let's understand the cool part of it. Now, this is a summarized view as the report was looking into the different data set, and you can expand and collapse it as you want. But what if you would like to analyze the same data mm, by aging band, let's say? For that, I would like to age it, let's say, by years. So what I can do is I can enable the pivot mode, and I can say, okay, posting date is the date that would tell me where things are happening year-wise. The beauty of analysis mode is automatically splits any date column to the year, to quarter, and also to the months. So you can automatically do either a aging based on year, month, or quarter, or maybe include all of them if needed. So like I can just drag this and say, okay, I would like my data to be grouped by years. And then maybe I would like to be interested to see it into quarters. It automatically breaks into whatever the quarter it is visible for. 2023, it only sold on quarter 1 and 2, and for 2022, it was available in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Maybe let's go one more extended and split it. Now, if you look at it, it goes January, and, which is fall in quarter 1, February, quarter 1 and 2, and I should have done it other way around. Let me drag this in up. Okay, my data view changed. And now let me collapse this for a while. I can do a quarter 1 and then it expands to the quarter 1. Let me do quarter 2. That again expands it, and so on and so forth. Now, this might look a little bit hectic to read it in here, but remember what I told you that you can always do a right click and do an export to a CSV or Excel. The cool part is when you do an export to Excel, not CSV. CSVs you know, uh, are not for analysis thing. But when you do an export to Excel, it will pop up an Excel file for you. And let's see how it looks. I just dragged it on my other screen, so I'll open it here and I'll wait for this production to be open to verification from Defender. But while this is happening, notice one more thing here. What Microsoft have done, which is cool in the data analysis view, that when that data comes into from your analysis view to your Microsoft Excel, it automatically comes as group data here. If you look at it, this line here, or these numbers here. So data, as you are seeing there, you can just split or collapse it to just to show you summary view. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to better read it here like this. Or if you want to dig deep into it or expand all, you can just click on two and expand it. So as many level of groupings you will have, your data will kind of collapse and expand into it. Okay. And then you can individually collapse and expand these different columns into it also. So how cool is that? Before you go away from this video, I have a very important detail to share and I'll tell you later about it. Let's get into the second report that I found is interesting and we can give it a try. The second report that I'm talking about is my customer item statistics report. Now let's see what this report shows us in Business Central when we run it directly in our Business Central client. So let me zoom this out. Let me bring my reporting tab back into this so that we can check that. And this time I'm going to run the other report, which is my, okay, customer item stats. When I do a customer item stats and I run a preview, it shows me something like this. What is this? It tells me the customer number, customer name, the phone number and other details, and then the item details, the quantity, the unit, the amounts. The important value here is amount. I'm hoping you guys are a better judge about it. But let's go back into VS Code and see what's the source of it. The source of it is customer. Okay, anything else? It's actually coming from value entry. Anything else? I don't think so. Okay, the value entry is our table or is our list page where we will create this analysis view. So let's go into value entry. Okay, once you're in value entry, we'll do the same as we did in the last report. Identify what are the filtered data that you need. So coming back here, look into the data item table view. Source type is customer and item ledger entry type is sale. So first is source type customer. So let's apply that. Okay, let's do a source type customer. Okay, the other one is item ledger entry type is sale. Okay, and filtering data is always good because that always will reduce the amount of data that you are trying to access. And you also should try to extract the data which is relevant, right? And that's where you can utilize this to filter out whatever you don't need. Now, this report is called customer item stats. So let me copy the name and save this view for future so that anytime I want to look at that data in my analyze mode, I make sure that I'm in this view. Let's get into analyze. Okay, we are in analyze. Let me zoom out. The first thing what we do, you go to columns, you uncheck, you click on this minus sign next to search, which will select everything and then unselect everything. And then I also remove everything from the value section. Okay. Now let's come back here. The first thing that it brings is customer number, which is known as the source number here, if I'm not wrong. So let's go and check for the source number. Okay. And let me drag that in. So this is my customer number, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Then inside that, I need my item number, which should be item number here, if I'm not wrong. Mm, okay, item number. I don't want to do that. I first want to group it based on source number and then also item number. So now I have 1000 and then 10,000 and then inside that these 2, 4, 6, 7 items which I'm able to see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7 items. Then I need item description. I might not have that description here. Or if it is there, I can't. Oh, there is a description. So let's add that here. I can't see it because it should come and maybe it's not there. So let me not add that to be very fair. We will see that in a while if that makes sense or not. So we have that. Now let's get into the RDLC, not this one, the correct one. So let me go into VS Code and see from where those numbers are coming because those are important. So let me open this. That opens my layout, which is here. Okay. And let me start picking up the numbers. So the first one is customer number, which you already have, the item number we have. And let's try to bring this field in, which is what? Invoice quantity. Okay. Do we have the invoice quantity in my uh, page here? Let me open my page so that we can see that. Okay. I think I should have an invoice quantity. Here I have an invoice quantity. So I can just bring that field in here called sum of invoice quantity, which is okay, invoice quantity. Okay. Let's bring that in, not directly. I would like to drag that and show it as sum. Okay. Now let's figure out from where the next field is coming from. This is my unit of measure, which I'm not interested in. If you are, we can talk about it, how you can bring it. I would not suggest to bring any field just for the reporting purpose if it is not business critical. But other is sales amount actual. Okay. So let's go in and bring sales amount actual. Okay. And instead of that, I'll just drag it and put it here. So now I have, and you can just right click over, sorry, click on this three dot and auto size either this column or all the columns. So that'll just make it bigger. So now I have the sales amount actual. Now if I look at in this report for the customer number 1000, 1896S item, which is, let me try to do this this way, 1896 item. The number that is coming up is quantity sold as 99, which is here also 99. And I can just also in this column either left or right. It's up to you. So I can put it on left. It'll always be on left, whatever happens, which is not a right place to kept it. So I'll unpin this, no pin, and then I can just drag it here if needed. So 99, because it's showing absolute values in your RDLC report. That's why it says 99. And then the number is for amount is 99079.20, which is exactly matching here, and so on and so forth. If you look at the total for this customer 1000, it is 223,598.40. Okay, here 223,598.40. Again, I would may not remember this view. I would like to rename this and call it my customer item stats and rename this. The system will remember this view. That's the good part of it. It'll remember what is happening. And then again, as I showed you earlier, if you would like to map it across year or months or quarter, you can just drag those fields, not directly, but enable the pivot mode, and then drag those quarter, month, or years down here at column level, and you'll be able to see the split per quarter wise, if that makes sense to you. Okay. It shows you all that, and then as it's showing, as I might have missed here, you can do pin and unpin, which will always keep that column exactly at that position where you pin it. um, you don't have to only use sum. Either you can change the aggregation from here, or you can also change it from here. Do you want a min, max, sum, last, or first, count, average? All your pivot options in Microsoft Excel. Let's see what else is here. Auto size this column or auto size all columns, which will just show you all the captions that are there. Wrap column head, if it kind of goes beyond the size, you can do a wrap and then it kind of wraps it up. And then you can do an expand all or collapse all, which will expand all the columns or collapse all the column. I would have loved, and this is much just a request from my end, being a developer, and I can be completely wrong. Maybe there is something which I didn't see, but I would like to call this field something else. I would like to rename it and call it quantity, to be very precise, but just to keep it simple, nothing precise. But just saying that, oh, I would like to see it as invoice quantity instead of I would like to call it quantity. So I would love if there is an F2 feature like it is here, where I can just click F2. No, I can't click F2, but I can do a rename. I hope there is somewhere a rename comes into the picture so that these names are meaningful to our customers when they are creating these views into the system. What other options are here? You can rename, duplicate, as we said. So if this view looks good to you, you can duplicate it and then you can analyze it from there, right? You can arrange that these are always placed on the left or the right if you have multiple analysis views. So that keeps it simple what you see at the beginning, right? If for this list, if you would like just to do a analysis only on quarter one, or before I do that, let me, so that it's very clear, what I'll do is I'll duplicate it, which creates a copy of it, and I'll say this is for Q2 only. Okay. Now in this particular view, I would only like to see Q2, where this is I'm looking at all the quarters. So for this view only, I can do a filter by quarter and say, okay, I would only like to see quarter two numbers. Now remember, the filter that you are applying here on this area is applicable to this analysis view. It is not applicable to list. It is not applicable to all analysis view. It is just applicable to this particular view. So when you come here, you will not see that filter applied. It is only applicable to this. So if I create a copy of this, let's do that. And I rename this to be Q3. I'll also have to come here and say, okay, my filter dates are Q3 or any other filters for that matter. If I would like to see, specific entry types. Oh, I'm not interested into indirect cost, or I'm not interested into looking at roundings. So I can just exclude those types. Okay. In the same way for all other fields, if you would like to do a dimension filters, if you would like to do, uh, you know, order type filters, if you would like to do source type filters, so on and so forth, that all is applicable to this particular analysis view. It doesn't apply to other views that are applied there, available there. Hope that point is clear about filtration and all. And then at the end, as I showed you, you can always do an export to CSV or an Excel. You can select certain rows, analyze some data here. Um, you can use either the group option or the pivot option. You can do, just copy that data directly to Excel for the selected customer role. You can just copy with headers and paste it into Microsoft Excel. Okay, what's at the end? If you are a user who's using Business Central and you seem that, oh, this is interesting, but the example that's sort of shown doesn't sound that exciting and all. Maybe I didn't do a good job over here, which I'm very sure that I sometimes don't do. Understand your scenarios. Understand what you can achieve with this before you start going to your partner, or before you start requesting to develop a whole set of report, which you then either can export to Excel, export to PDF, or then send it to your colleagues or print it out. These kind of reports where you're doing some analysis, think about using these features. You know, like a very common example is top 10 customer list or top 10 vendor list. All that data is sourced from one single entity, which is your ledger, either the customer ledger or vendor ledger entries. So you can just refer that data to create a view like this and then utilize that view directly. So what I'm saying is whenever you need a report, the data and it is not a printed report for sure, then the data analysis is the first thing that should come to your mind. Microsoft is doing their bit. So what they have done, you need to go to the GitHub repo, which Kenny is maintaining for this analyze data feature. And what Microsoft have done is given you some examples how you can do it. So if you would like to build an aged account receivable report, you don't have to do it, or you don't have to modify the things or request your partner to say, oh, instead of this, I would like this change into my report from a field perspective or not. Here, Microsoft have given you all the steps that you need to utilize the data analysis or analyze data feature to build your aged account receivable or aged account payable reports. And it also tells you in the foundation column from where it is coming from. So the customer ledger entry table from where it is coming from. And you can just follow these steps to get your aged account receivable. In the same way, trial balance by period. Trial balance by period. Okay, customer top 10 list, customer order summary. Okay, vendor balance date, vendor top 10 list. And this is find top salespeople to calculate their bonuses. So you can use these. Change log entries. If you are an administrator who would like to see who could change when, how, or sorry, when, you can just use the analysis view to audit that data in the change log entries. Okay. If you would like to do in compliance on license overview by user, you can use these steps to kind of set that up. So here are, I guess, 10, 15 examples from Microsoft that you should try it out while you are watching this video or after you watch this video to make sure that you understand the capabilities of this new feature. I'm super excited about this, what customers can do with this, because to be very fair, this is not a developer tool. If you ask me as a developer or as a partner, I would like Microsoft to tell me how I can bake in these views for my customer and then ship it in my extension, even if that's possible, or is that even in the roadmap? That can I, as a partner, say, oh, I know what my customer wants. Let's assume I know, which I don't, to be very fair. But I know, let's assume that what my customer want, what analysis views will help my customers. Is there a way that I can pre-build these analyzed views for my customers and then ship it using my extension? If that's a possibility, that'll be fantastic for me as a developer or as a partner. But the power of this feature is not with the partner community, it's with the user community. Users need to use it. Users need to think about data analysis as the first resort for their data consolidation need until unless it's a printed report. And before spending money and time into building a actual report in Business Central. Are there some limitations? There might be. Will number of records may impact the performance of it? It will, as it does for reports. So I'll not be surprised if data analysis slows down if there is a huge data set. Your reports also slows down in that manner. So don't look at from the prism of just one more addition into Business Central. Look at from a wow perspective and start utilizing it whenever you have a need to analyze the data that you have in your Business Central. Hope you like the content. If you have questions, I would be happy to discuss it. Please add them into comments. I'll try to engage as much as on this topic because I truly believe that this changes the whole reporting problems that we all have heard for all these years. So if you think this is useful for others, please do share this video. If you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed to it, please do subscribe to the channel. And I'll highly encourage to add comments. Tell me how you liked about this feature. What other reports you can think of that we can change using data analysis. And I'll record those stuff if you think that there are some reports that you can utilize this feature into. Till then, goodbye. And I'll come back with something new in Business Central 2023 release rate 1, maybe tomorrow. Have a good day and see you next time. Thank you.